Right, so I've got this lovely wee Union cabinet lock. It's a 4-pinner. There's the bit in there with pin 1, 2 and 4 practically all being the same cut, and 3 being a much higher cut. Put her in, there she works, and back again. Yeah, like I said, it's a 4-pinner, and it is an absolute nightmare for me to pick. Why? Because I am trying to pick it the correct way up. In case you haven't noticed. I would normally pick with the pins at the bottom, but I just thought if ever there was a lock for me to try to learn to pick the right, well, not the right way up, but pick this way up, it's got to be this wee one. It's only 4 pins. It's fairly easy as long as you know what you're doing. Wow. Oh my. You would not believe I've done about 4 takes of this, each taking me up to about the 4-minute mark. And it's just, well, I was using that pick and that tension wrench, and I changed to that pick and that tension wrench. But man, I have struggled to pick this the right way up. I'm just not used to it. Definitely something I'm going to have to put time into learning. So there you go. See the bolt retracting, and then we can bring it back. Sure, we'll lock her up. Right, now for the fun bit, we'll disassemble it and show you. I can tell you that the pins inside aren't very interesting, but the mechanism as a whole is. So, although the pins are disappointing, I'm still going to go and do all this because, you know, it's just real. It's just a nice lock to see how it works. So we'll start by taking out this screw here. There's that there. Then we'll take this out. And before anybody asks where this came from Pin Pickers on YouTube. He sent me it. So I don't really know where he got it. There you go, there's the lock. And this is the body and the locking bolt. And this is this, and it's back plate. Now I'll come back to that in a second, so we'll just set it up there. And we will do the pins in this to show you what the crack of these is. But before we do that, I'll show you this other wee feature. And that is, on the side of the lock, there's this wee bar, like a locking mechanism. And if you push the top of it in fact, use something a bit firmer. Push the top in, you can move it out of the way. And once you do that, you can rotate the lock. Now, if I bring this back over and if the bolt's out that way, the idea of this is, you know, you can mount it in the door like this and have the bolt coming out this side. Then we can rotate him up there, and you can push that down into that groove, and that'll allow the lock to operate in that direction. Equally, you can have it, you know, mounted maybe at the top of the door and up into the cabinet, or on the right hand door, and then the bolt coming out that way. So set that back up there. So I just thought that's a real cool wee feature. And we'll have to take these screws out the back. This wee bit at the bottom is the actuator, and it's what turns the, I don't even know the correct terms for these. I've never picked a lever lock, and while this is just a pin tumbler, I still don't know the correct terminology. So, steel screws, as you can see by the stick in there, and then this wee plate comes off the back. That's what engages the back of the lock, and then we'll set that there, and I'll come back to that after to show you. So now we're going to need the keys. Which have suddenly got stuck. There we go. The keys and a follower. And here's the follower here that we'll use. We'll just spin that around so that, oh, it's because I rotated that lock earlier. I'm getting confused. There you go. Sorry guys, just look back at the camera there now. So if I did lose focus at any point to that, I apologize. Right, so remove this, and let's see the pins. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, all standards, and the top of the core has this flattened ledge to it. And then in the chambers itself, 1 is standard, 2 is standard, 3 standard, and obviously 4 is standard. So there you go, that's what the pins are, and the wee springs are tiny wee things, and we'll just set them all there. Now for the interesting bit, and that is how this works. Well, in here you have the bolt, I believe that's called, and I don't really know what this silver bit's called, but for the sake of everything we'll just call it a gate or something like that. I don't quite know. You have this wee spinny thing in the middle. Now, ignoring all the terminology, what happens is this sits in that groove in the back of the core. So it sits in there, it locks that in nicely. And as you turn, these 2 bits grab hold of this center piece, and then it spins and pushes the bolt out. Now how does that work? Well, if I get it back to an intermediate state, I'll show you. So, in fact, I'll just remove this. So this is your bolt, right? And this slides back and forward, open, closed, open and closed. Now down here on the bolt itself, we have this like a wee stub sticking up, and then we'll have a stopper here as well. This stopper stops the bolt from going out too far, and the stub there. Now, what does this do? Well, this sits up here, and this piece of copper presses against where that screw goes in. So pressing against that, and this forms tension in the downward direction. And whenever the cabinet is locked, this wee nub on the bottom of this piece, which we haven't got a name for, is what's preventing the bolt from sliding out. So whenever you turn the core, it turns this center piece, and whenever that spins like that, or in fact it'll spin more like that with the short end going up over the top of the bolt and flattening back down, and just due to the shape and the design of this, what that does is it first pushes this against the tension of the copper wire, so it lifts it away from this wee nub at the bottom, the wee one on the bolt, and then it will continue and it'll actually push that forward, and then whenever it gets round to the other half, this will drop back and it'll lock it back up in this position. So if we can't just show you that again. So there's it in the locked position. Well, this should actually be right like that. Okay, so it's this piece. And then you see where it hits the top of this, so that there completes the first stage of pushing against the spring tension. This is not something you should do with your tweezers. And then it can freely rotate. It can freely rotate around this, and you can see there in the bottom, it's pushing the bolt forward, and then that continues to spring until that's turned to there, and the tension locks that back up again. So there you go, very interesting, and it's been quite interesting for myself anyway, learning about this, and hopefully through all the bad terminology and all the ramblings there, somebody else has learned a wee bit more about how these locks work. Thanks very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed it.